So often we are conditioned from when we're very young to wanting to do things right. Okay. And there's nothing wrong with that, obviously. There's certain things we need to kind of, want to get right. However, perfection. And when we're on our horses and when we're with our horses and when it just begins taking over everything, yet that's not a great way to be. And what you'll find is that over time, this need or this drive or this focus on perfection will actually end up robbing you of all the enjoyment in your riding. Now, you may find that right now there are certain elements of your riding that, perfection has creeped in and it's a kind of taken over. Well, today is the day for you. Let's begin, first of all, identifying why that is so, and then beginning to pull it back, to change it, to adding a little bit more fun and enjoyment into your ride so you and your horse can begin working together again. Okay, let's go. Hey there, and welcome to the Daily Strides podcast. My name is Lorna Leeson. I'm an equestrian trainer and coach, and I work with riders from all over the world to help them to understand how they can become better with their horse in the saddle, but also train their horse, especially if they're working alone without a regular trainer or coach. And today I want to talk about that need for perfection. It drives so many of us. And again, I think this is conditioned from when we're small, like we have to get 10 out of 10 or 100% or whatever, okay? There's this kind of drive, this focus on getting it all right all of the time, but that really and truly takes the spontaneity, it takes the fun, it takes the enjoyment, it takes the just being within the moment. Have you ever seen children play? They are not trying to play right, or they're not trying to play the correct way. When children are really and truly just in the thick of it and they're enjoying themselves, they are just playing to play the game. They're playing because it's enjoyable and they love it and it's fun, and they're not thinking about 3 steps time. They're thinking about right now in that moment what they're doing. If we can begin to connect with that a little bit more when we're working with our horse, not all the time, because we do need to have a strategy and a plan every now and then, but if perfection has taken over, well, we need to get you back to being playful. We need to get you back to just being in the moment, enjoying it, and just kind of waiting and watching and being curious and just, in amazement as it all unfolds before you. That is a great way to be with your horse. It's a fantastic way to be with your horse. And that is what I'm going to encourage you and going to help you to do today if you've been stuck for however long in perfection. Now, as I said, it really and truly takes the fun out of things. Years and years ago, I was working in a yard and there was a horse in the yard, and I loved this horse. I thought it was a great horse. And this horse came up for sale after a while. And of course, I made a plan and he became my horse. And almost immediately, I don't know what happened, but I lost my ability to stay on the horse. Now, I know it sounds pretty ridiculous, but honestly, I was spending more time on the ground than I was anything else because I just kept falling off. And it actually got a couple of months down the line and I thought, you know what, I'm throwing in the towel here. This is ridiculous. I don't know what I was thinking. And I kind of began questioning myself. Was it that good before? What happened? And when I gave up, when I threw in the towel, when I said, okay, whatever, I'm finished, it actually all came right again. And lo and behold, it was because I was literally trying too hard. I had this vision in my head for what I wanted it to be, and I was going to make it happen. And of course, we all know with horses, they're a bit like plastic. You can't force. If you force it, it breaks. And I broke it by forcing it to try and be everything that I wanted it to be. And it was only when I stopped, when I softened, when I relaxed, when I gave up, when I stopped with the perfection that things came back right. And we had a wonderful relationship on from that. He really was a fantastic horse, okay? Now, where I sometimes see this show up for riders as well is when they come back to riding after a break. And this could be a significant break of a couple of decades, or this could be a break of maybe a couple of months, we'll go a little longer, but let's say 3, 6, 9 months, okay? Could be 3 years, it could be 30 years. It doesn't make any difference. When riders come back, they tend to begin to compare themselves, the rider they are right now, with the rider that they used to be. That's never a helpful thing to do. Okay, because you know all of the things, okay? At least in your head you do. But you have now changed. You've had all these different experiences between then and now. And I tell you now, every single rider in the world, they are not just a rider, and they do not just ride because of how they've been taught to ride. They ride because of all the experiences that shape them as a person, okay? And everybody is different. You cannot have the same experiences as anybody else, okay? You are unique. You have your own unique style. But when you begin to compare yourself, this version of you right now with the version of you from before, you're going to come up short, and you're going to do that and begin to frustrate yourself. So it's really, really important that you first of all just give yourself right now a little bit of grace, okay? Notice that yes, things are a bit different, okay? This is not where I want to be, but for right now, for this version of me right now, what can I do right now? And then give that version, the current version of you, a little bit of grace as you figure this out, okay? So if you've been struggling with perfection, and how you may notice this is that each ride you kind of end with feelings, a lot of feelings of maybe frustration, disappointment. You know, it's just not living up to the way you thought it would be, okay? You're kind of feeling like, didn't get that right, didn't make that. And this is happening a lot. You're noticing like this is going on. And maybe you haven't noticed. Maybe I'm saying this now and you're suddenly going, hey, hold on, that sounds a little familiar. Okay, that's fine. But now you notice. What we need to do now is to begin figuring out again what you enjoy. I think a lot of riders, they're looking at social media and they're watching other riders and they're kind of maybe forgetting that other riders are posting their highlight reels, like they're posting the good stuff. And even when they post the not so hot stuff, they are doing it in a very curated way, okay? They are showing you and the rest of the world what they want to show, not maybe what is, okay? So it's important that you're not trying to compare yourself. This goes as well for comparing yourself with other riders that you know. I was working recently online with a virtual riding lesson with a rider who had actually purchased the horse from another rider at the barn where basically the horse was boarded. So she purchased the horse stayed at the barn. The other rider was also at the barn with other horses or whatever. And I noticed anyway during our lesson that there was this there was this tension coming into it. I could definitely see it, and frustration. And we just began to walk then. I just asked her to walk, and we were I could see there was definitely something there. Hey, we needed to discuss this before we were going forward because it was blocking everything. And as we were chatting, it kind of came out that she was feeling maybe not as good as this other rider. Now, this other rider rides 6-7 days a week, competes very regularly, has a couple of horses that they're riding, has a full-time trainer. And here was my rider coming back to riding after a significant decades break. And this was her first horse and she was really getting back into the swing of things. You can't compare those two riders. They are totally different. They have different experiences. They've different goals even. They shouldn't even be kind of in the same conversation together, okay? It's not the same. So once we began to kind of discuss this and talk about it, she realized that, oh yes, she was maybe being a little bit unfair to herself here, and that potentially she could soften up a little on herself and actually begin to figure out what she could begin to work on that would feel enjoyable for her. And at this point in the journey, it all came down to really just getting back into a regular kind of a riding routine again, kind of relearning and familiarizing herself with the basics, things like that. And once she began to pinpoint and to actually focus on those things, everything changed. Like within that lesson, within that one virtual lesson that we had together, she was able to change it all around and begin to really focus on herself. It was so lovely and she had a great outcome at the end of it. So remember that you may see other riders, it's almost like an outfit, okay? You may see another rider with this wonderful outfit that you're like, yes, I want that outfit. But now you try and squeeze yourself into the outfit and it doesn't fit you and you feel so uncomfortable. You can't move, you can't flow, you can't flex, you can't bend, you can't do the things you want to do because you're squeezing yourself into an outfit that's not for you. You can instead look at elements of the other rider's outfit. Maybe the belt, maybe the boots, maybe the hat, maybe the gloves, okay? The top, the jods, whatever. You can look at elements and you can try those individual elements on with your style, with your current outfit, and you can see what works for you, okay? You have to approach your riding like this. You cannot be somebody else. You are you, and you are this version of you right now in this moment. So when you begin to work with that, when you begin to define what success is for you, that's going to allow you to drop that perfection and to begin to really just be in the moment and enjoy it with your horse, okay? So take the time and figure out what a great ride would look like for you and your horse right now. Maybe it's not even a ride. Maybe it's just groundwork. Maybe that's what it is for you right now. It doesn't matter. It's your journey. Figure it out for you. Get clear on what that's going to look like for you. Banter around a couple of different versions, like, maybe it's this, maybe it's that. You know where I love doing this? I'm just going to throw this in. Maybe it'll help you. I love doing this when I'm out for a walk. I'll think of different things. It doesn't have to do with horses. You can use this for anything, hey? But yeah, I'll think of different scenarios and I'll think, oh, what would that feel like? And then so often, once I begin to visualize myself in that moment, I'll actually see where the rubs come in. All I mean by the rubs is the resistance. And I will notice, like, hold on, that's actually not going to work for me because of this. And I would have to figure out a way to get that to work with this element of my life. And that really allows me to try it on, to fit the outfit on, without actually purchasing the outfit. I can just say, actually, not for me. Leave it back there. Thanks very much. That was a little experiment. That's not for me. And then continue on. So really, really begin doing that for you and your horse. Figure out what you enjoy. Figure out how you can maybe begin to weave that into your life and then go from there. Now, another thing that as adults we tend to do is we tend to almost want to have this measure or marker for everything we do. And very often when it comes to our horses, we tend to do this through competitions and being judged. Paying somebody to judge you, hey? But yeah, we tend to judge it at how good it is, how good we are doing if we've achieved this thing, okay? It doesn't have to be like that. Remember at the beginning I was talking about the children playing and they're just doing it. They're just in the thick of it. They're just doing it because it's fun. Horse riding can be that too. And if you have found yourself being very, very caught up with perfection, and if you found yourself getting really down on yourself and your horse, just being really critical, like feeling that disappointment, the frustration, the annoyance, all those negative stuck feelings, if they're regular things that you feel in your riding, I am going to tell you now, you're a little bit stuck on perfection. You need to get off that train, okay? It's going nowhere. And what I'm going to suggest, I'm going to challenge you actually, to begin just taking one ride each week, just to do whatever you want to do. You're going to ride for the sake of riding. I tell people not to do this, but in this case, I'm going to break my own rule. No, seriously, this is really important. You need to just do what feels good. You need to spend time. You need to actually let that be the focus. And if you're that type of person who always needs a win, you're like, I have to do it for something. There needs to be an outcome. That's wonderful. Your outcome is going to be that it's just pure enjoyment. That's your goal. That's where you're going for, okay? That's the thing. You're going to start to follow the little breadcrumbs that you feel through this. You're going to have to experiment. You're probably going to realize maybe halfway into doing a certain thing, you know what? This is not enjoyable. Fantastic. There you go. There's another piece of knowledge that you can add to the little thing that makes up you and your riding, the little kind of a if you want a running list, okay, you don't have to have a running list, but yeah, that's like, okay, I really enjoy this. You know what? I don't really enjoy this, whatever. You can begin to add it to that. And that's where you're going to have this, maybe the one pressure free, kind of relaxed, just enjoying yourself for the sake of enjoying yourself ride each week, okay? And then from there, taking it a step further in that you're going to try and become more and more and more present with your horse for each session, okay? It's really important. So instead of really kind of getting into was it good or was it bad, I want you to start thinking about how did we feel today? Okay, like you're noticing for you and your horse. When you notice tension creeping in, that's okay. Don't get down on yourself. Just say, oh, there we go. Taking a little back step there. That's okay. Everybody takes a back step every now and then. You're just going to notice it. But then I want you to begin thinking about, interesting, I wonder what triggered that. What thought, because there's always a thought, okay? What thought, which probably is going to be on repeat a fair amount, so it shouldn't be too hard to figure out, okay? It's amazing when you actually begin to pay attention to the thoughts in your head, how many thoughts you'll notice are just on repeat, and how a lot of those thoughts, yeah, they wouldn't be making you feel great, okay? But I want you to try and just think about think about, okay, what was I thinking about when I came to here, when I noticed this? What brought this on? Where were we going? What were we doing? And then beginning to almost like challenge yourself to replace that. Come up with something else to replace that with. Like if you're maybe like my rider, I didn't do that as well as Barbara is doing that with the horse. No, say, okay, how did this feel for me? After I've done that now, how did it feel for me? How do I think my horse felt as we rode through that? Put it back onto you, okay? Or if you're frustrated, I could do this 7 years ago easily, myself and my horse. We were like unicorns then. Now look at us, we can't do anything. Just change it. Like, that's interesting. I wonder how maybe I could approach this differently to get the result that I'm after, okay? Because you're different. So you need to maybe take a different approach to get there, okay? So and just on that topic, another great thing to ask yourself if you're coming back to riding after a break is, do I really need to actually do this? Like, do I have to do this? Is this essential? This thing that is causing me so much tension, frustration, the disappointment, whatever, put in the negative emotion, is this essential? Because sometimes we get caught up on things. I was so stuck in this for a long time, doing things because that's the way they were done. It's ridiculous. I know. I say it now. I can laugh at myself. But maybe you're stuck there as well. So that's why I'm telling you, okay? But yeah, it's really, really important to question it. Question everything. Spend 30 days actually just prioritizing. And this is for the perfectionists out there. Now, if you're the sort of rider who's like, whatever, you just pitch and you ride, this is not for you, hey? I'm telling you to go get a plan. But no, if you're the rider who's over planning, you're just stuck in perfection. You're actually stuck because you're getting nothing done because you're so stuck in perfection, okay? That's another actually point for people coming back to riding. So many riders, well, maybe riders who have lapsed riders, and they want to come back to riding and they don't because it's not perfect. I'm going to just give you a quick heads up here. It's never going to be perfect, okay? Forget about that. That's pie in the sky. It's not going to happen. Just really and truly take an action. The next action, the simple action, take it. You know what it is. It's just popped into your head right now. Do it. Phone the riding school. Book the lesson. Clean the tack. Fit on the jods. Buy the hat. Take the horse in and groom it. Whatever the next action is, just go do it, okay? And get into action. Do something. Stop waiting for it to be perfect. It won't be. It will never be. Get over that. But yeah, what I would love for you if you are stuck in perfection is to actually spend the next 30 days just prioritizing, maybe developing your bond, your relationship, your partnership with your horse. And prioritize that over everything being perfect, over doing it the right way. Forget about the right way. Just focus on you and your horse actually really getting to know each other without the criticism and the harshness and the disappointment. I'm telling you now, this will open the doors to everything else. Everything you actually want is probably the other side of this. So it's so, so important. I know it is a completely different shift and you'll feel like, hold on, we're like training for this thing that's coming up. That's great. You can still do the work. You're just approaching the work through a different filter. You're approaching through the filter of, if I was to do this exercise, how could this exercise benefit me and my horse in getting to know each other better, in deepening our bond, in building the trust? And you're still doing the exercise, you're still going through the motions, you're still doing the work. And this is especially if you're training for something specific. You're still doing it, but you're just changing, you're tweaking the filter that you're coming at it from, okay? You're changing it for you. Now, if you've been stuck in this for a long, long time, there's a couple of prompts that you could use if you're into journaling. I do suggest maybe after the ride, sitting down at the stables, if possible, somewhere quiet, and just maybe going through. I've written them out here. They're at the blog post for this episode, where you can find at stridesforsuccess.com/episode 1353. Okay, if you scroll down towards the end, they are there. But if you think of something like, what would maybe a joyful, pressure-free ride look like for me? That's something that you could kind of ponder about. And what's interesting is, and this is how I personally get the most out of doing this type of exercises or this type of work, is that you will have an initial answer. Okay, your mind will want to answer the question. Let it answer the question. Just answer. Okay, there we go. There is the answer. And then you're going to force yourself to sit with that question for another maybe 10 minutes. And you may sit there thinking, I don't have anything to write. But you're going to force yourself. You're going to sit there. And I tell you then, the floodgates will open. It'll just like, pew, there you go. It'll be like somebody flicked a switch in your head. You will have flicked it. And it will just open and you will actually really get into the nitty gritty. And I think that's really important. Another question you could ask yourself is, if I took away all expectations and pressure, what would my ideal ride feel like? And that for me would have been a very important one a few years ago, because as I said, it's done that way and that's the way it must be done. I'd like these tight, rigid controls on things that, it had to be this way and it had to be that way. And now it's like, question everything. And experiment all the time, and that's so much more fun, and I enjoy doing that. That fits with my personality. So yeah, just take these. There's more here. There's 5 I've got here for you, so you can find them all over at the post, and wherever you're listening to this, you can scroll down. Now, the other thing you can do, I've created a list of 50 plus different things that you can do with your horse, 15 minutes or less. You can get that over at stridesforsuccess.com/15. It's absolutely free. And maybe that can be used to begin to either get you into action if you've been sitting there kind of on the sidelines going, oh, I'd love to, but it's not perfect. Remember, it's not going to be. Forget about that. That is an unrealistic expectation. Drop it. Get another one. Find another expectation, okay? But yeah, you can get that. It's absolutely free. Use it and move things forward. Okay, I am going to leave it here. Have an absolutely fantastic week. Keep well, and I'll chat to you soon. Be good. Bye.